What's up guys, it's your boy Kujo and
Here, the fuck was that?
oh, hey Angus, what was what?
Don't give me that. What's all this? It's your boy Kujo pish.
Alright, yeah, I was just a bit bored with the whole what's up guys, welcome back thing. I mean, I say it every time and it's kind of boring.
I'll stop you there, pal. You start going down that road, the next thing you know you'll be giving it,
Hi sisters!
know what I'm saying? Stick to what you know, right?
Fine.
I said, alright.
Right, Christ.
Good lad. See you later.
Right, anyway, this is the 4th episode of Kujo Critiques, a series where I offer constructive feedback on people's work. Today we'll be looking at this one sent in by my patron Ours Groomy, something like that. I don't know how to pronounce it, I'm sorry.
Ours Groomy.
It's the awesome Ironheart bust from Big Child Creatives. I actually wouldn't mind painting this one myself, it's really cool. I like the simple red and green colour scheme that you've chosen to use. I'm a really big fan of limiting the colours on the palette, but personal preference aside, I think everything's well painted. However, there is a few changes that you could make to help enhance the overall impact of the piece. First thing we're going to look at is the sword. You have a really interesting mix of colours on the blade, but the placement of your highlights and shadows isn't ideal. I made a video a while ago on non-metallic metal where I talk about the importance of a concept I call opposites, so let's recap that briefly. Say you have two flat sections joined together. The highlight on one section should end where the shadow begins on the other. So if you imagine that the light is shining down from above here, the highlight is going to form on the lower edge of that flat plane. However, if we place another plane against it, we can see that the highlight ends up directly opposite to the shadow on the adjoining surface. On a long, thin section like this, which is a lot like your sword for example, you can make things a bit more interesting by utilising a concept I call the bounce. If you have the light shining down from above, we know that the highlight would gather at the furthest point from the light, so in this case the lower left corner. But in a long, thin section, it's better to imagine that the light is bouncing along the length, much like a stone skipping over water, creating a highlight or ripple each time it hits the surface. So if we go back to the sword now, you can see that what we have is essentially two long, thin planes joined together at a bit of an angle. If we apply the two concepts we just talked about, you should be able to see the problem here is that you have the shadow on both sides of the sword at the exact same point. An easy way to improve the effect that you've got here is to simply shift the shadow on one side a bit higher up so that the highlights and shadows are displaced along the length of the blade. If we do that now, you'll be able to see the difference. Yeah, so you can see that that looks a lot better already. I've also taken the red colour out of the blade, just leaving the purple tones in the shadow. You'll see the reason for that later on, but right now the next thing we're going to look at is the face. When you're painting a bust, generally you want most of the viewer's focus to be on the face, but at the moment most of your attention is actually on the blade. The face itself is looking quite flat, there's not a lot of definition to any of the features and it actually looks quite dark in comparison to the rest of the model. In order to bring more focus to that area, we want to make it a lot brighter, so let's look at how we can achieve that. First we're going to map out where our highlights are going to go. For that we'll use a slightly brighter skin tone than the one that's already there, and we'll lay that onto all the main areas that are going to catch the light. So the forehead, the cheekbones, the bridge of the nose, the upper lip, the chin and the little area here just where the side of the mouth meets the face. That part of the face is usually slightly brighter and it's something that most people miss. You want to be careful that you don't overdo that or it's going to end up looking a bit. Alright, so then we'll do the same thing again, this time with a brighter skin tone. Once more, picking out the forehead, nose, cheekbones, upper lip and chin. You can see that this gives you way more definition to the features of the face. The problem that we have now is that the skin is starting to look a bit pasty and unnatural. So to fix that, we can first take a red tone. So let's use the one from the hair and we'll lightly glaze that over the cheeks and the side of the face. That gives a much more lively look to the skin. Next you can take some of that green tone from the cape and very lightly glaze it over the lower part of her jaw and chin. So this represents light bouncing off the cape and hitting the face from below. And this concept is called reflected light. Because it's thinner and a lot softer, female skin tends to be way more susceptible to that effect than male skin. So if the cape was a different colour, say purple, we could glaze over the chin with purple instead of green to get the same sort of effect. To continue, we'll use that red again and glaze over the lips in order to make them a bit more lifelike. So now that we've brightened up the face, the eyes are actually starting to look quite dark in comparison, so we'll just brighten them a little now. Yeah, that looks way better. And one final touch we can do is just glaze a bit more of that red just at the very base of the eyeballs, and that will make them less flat and also draw more of the viewer's attention to the face. If we pull back now and look at those changes in context, you should find that your eyes are being drawn to the face because that area is pretty bright and it also has quite a lot of red tones in it. Red draws the eyes of the viewers a lot, so if you want to direct people's attention to something, adding some red to the area works really well. And that's also the reason that I took the red tones out of the sword blade at the start, because it would pull the eye down away from the face. So if I add the red back into the blade, you'll see what I mean. With that red tone on the blade, your eyes are always going to be pulled down to that area. Your brain wants to look at the face, but your eyes have a different idea. If you actually relax your gaze and just look at her face, you'll probably find that your eyes just naturally fall down to the blade. It's almost like you have to fight the urge to look down. But if I take the red away again, you should be able to look at the face without feeling like your eyes are being pulled away from it. Alright, so just as a quick reminder, here's what we started with, and then here's how it looks after the changes. And I think I'll leave it there. I don't think it would be all that helpful to nitpick every tiny little detail. I think pointing out some fundamental things that you've overlooked is going to be way more beneficial than going over all the minute little changes that you could do. Alright guys, so I hope you found this helpful. I'll try and do some more of these soon. They're just a bit time consuming with all the photoshopping that I need to do for them. If you find this content helpful and you're interested in supporting its creation, you can do so by signing up to my Patreon feed for as little as $1 a month. Patrons get access to a private Discord server where you can get feedback on your work or just hang out and chat. You also get other benefits including early access to videos not available on YouTube, in-depth PDF guides, and occasionally the inclusion of your own work in videos like this one. If that's something you're interested in, click the Patreon link on screen to sign up now, and I'll see you on the Discord. Thanks again. Bye for now.